State television have issued a brazen warning that Moscow could wipe out Britain with a nuclear tsunami in retaliation for in Ukraine, declaring there would be no survivors.
In Britain, they seem to be rambling. Why do they threaten vast Russia with nuclear weapons while they are only a small island? Why do they play games? Another option is to plunge Britain into the depths of the sea using Russian underwater robotic drone Poseidon. The explosion of this torpedo close to Britain's shores will raise a giant wave, a tsunami up to 500 meters. This tidal wave is also a carrier of extremely high doses of radiation. Surging over Britain, it will turn what is left of them into radioactive desert.
Right, so I like to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakahakadash. Double one to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. Right? So we're in that time of war. And that has become obvious with the war between Russia and Ukraine, and then the threats that's going back and forth between Russia, NATO, Russia, Britain, Russia, and the U.S. Right, and also you just have a treaty that was made between Iran and China, which is the allies of Russia. So a lot of things are taking place to show you that we are in that time of war. Right, so a lot of you people are not prepared for this. A lot of you people are not prepared for this, and when you have war going on between the nations, that have a major effect on the economy. That's why you got inflation up 8.5% and rising. That's why you have a recession coming, right? That's why you have a shortage of food. Dabu 7, I believe, if I stand correct, Dabu 7 just mentioned that within 6 to 8 months, there's going to be a shortage. And it only makes sense because you got a lot of these farmers being told to not grow their crops. And then you got a lot of these food plants that are being burnt down, killing off massive amount of animals, man. So a lot of things are taking place which you people are not prepared for. I remember when men and brothers was out in the highways and byways, and we was talking about the war between Russia and Ukraine, while you had parts of Kyiv and other regions in Ukraine being bombed. You still had people in Ukraine just doing their day-to-day life, trying to go to work, getting some sleep, still living in their apartments, like the war isn't heading to their front door. So it's the same thing with the US. You people have been in such a comfortable state that you believe that war is not going to be at your front door. But little do you know, right? And even before war even happens, you people are going to come against each other, man. Right? When there's a famine and you have to live in a survival type of state of mind, then what's going to happen is that you're going to try to find a way to survive. And that's even if you got to come against your so-called best friend or your neighbors. You're going to find a way to survive. So all these things are coming, man. And it's all prophesied, man. Right? So we're going to grab this in the book of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass." Because all these things are being prophesied, right? And you have men out in the highways and byways prophesying of these things. And to prophesy means to say before. And a prophet is a spokesman or a spokesperson for Yahweh Shah, who you inwardly call God and Jesus. And that's what prophets on the highways and byways, Hebrew Israelites, been talking about for years, about war brewing up, about Russia and the U.S. and the allies of these different nations that's going to go to war. Brothers been talking about famines. Brothers been talking about all these things taking place. But guess what? You people aren't listening. And why aren't you listening? Because you're comfortable and you deem to believe that no such thing can happen to the U.S. Well, little do you know, the U.S. have been in many wars, man. The U.S. have been in many wars, and just because the U.S. have nuclear capabilities don't mean that they cannot go to war. You got to remember, Russia had way more destructive ballistic missiles and nuclear missiles than the U.S. If the U.S. was to try to pull a nuclear attack on Russia, Russia will pull a nuclear attack on the U.S. With their alliance as well, and that's what's going to happen in the end days, man. After the mandatory MOTB, that's what's going to happen, man. Is that you're going to have all-out thermonuclear war, man. And this is all you've been hearing for the past few months, man, of a thermonuclear um um what's the word? Um you could say thermonuclear rumors, right? Or you could say thermonuclear um threatenings, right? You could use those in a sense. So it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. So we as prophets, we know these things are going to take place. That's why it's not surprising us that you have, Sky News Australia or CNN or ABC or any of these news channels talking about the threats that Russia have been making on Britain and the NATO. It doesn't surprise us, right? When you have alternate news talking about the same thing, it doesn't surprise us that this is a possibility, and it doesn't surprise us that this is a possibility because the Spirit has been put upon us to understand that this is what must come to pass if the new world is to come. That new world being the world that the Lord is going to set up for His people. Right? So we understand these things have to come to play. So it says, for nation shall rise up against nation, and you're going to have that. You're going to have racial wars take place. I remember there was a cop not that long ago who said he cannot wait for us a racial war because he wants to kill off three generations of you so-called Negroes. I remember that. Right? It says, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. See, and the famines are going to come. The Lord said He shall cause a famine to come upon the nations, man. And that's why you're hearing about these food plants burning. That's why you hear about farmers not growing crops. I remember just not that long ago, you had boxes of food being just thrown out, man. It was like diesel trucks were just throwing out boxes of food. So famine is on the rise, and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. In the pestilence, um, you had locusts lighting up foods, and I believe it was Africa and somewhere else, man. I forget. But real quick, bear with me for a second. Bear with me for a second here. Right. So when you look up that word pestilence, is limus. It says pestilence, a pestilent fellow, pest, plague, right? When you go into the strong, it's a plague, literally the disease. I remember that they was talking about the Ebola coming back from Africa, right? I remember there was another disease too, that H1N1 or something like that coming back. Right, so you're gonna have many diseases coming up, like you have the COVID-19, you have, right, the Delta variant, you have these different variants popping up, and it's rumored that they're planning on shutting down the U.S. again. So we'll see if that takes place. So it says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Right? And you people are about to be in a lot of sorrow, man. Right? When you go to your nearby grocery store or you go to your convenience store and you find out that there's no food. There's no Gatorades or Powerades or orange juices or milk or butter, right? Or a loaf of bread. And before that happens, you're gonna have the cost amount of those products at a high price, man. You know, they're saying that chicken will now be as much as beef, and chicken was cheaper than beef. And a lot of people eat chicken, not just Jake, but these Edomites, right? These Hamites that's in the U.S. A lot of you eat chicken, man. A lot of these uh, 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 um, people of other nations eat a lot of chicken. So you're gonna have chicken that's gonna cost the amount of beef, man. So it's gonna be a lot of things that's taking place, man. A lot of things are taking place, and you people just comfortable walking your dogs, living, your so-called life, right? Which at the end of the day, all of that is about to crumble upon you. Especially when you have these threats going on where Russia talking about nuking Britain because Britain think they tough, right? And Kim Jong Un, he just waiting for a move to be made from Russia, um, that's gonna devastate the U.S. so he can get involved. See, a lot of you people don't know what's going on, man. A lot of you people just living your day-to-day life like everything is okay, man. Not knowing that your life is about to collapse on you, man. Right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it from there so I can go ahead and get back to work. And Lord willing, we'll be back with another one. But I'd like to say Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Lord willing, this was edifying. Shalom.